An arrogant tourist threw a coin at the royal guard, but what happened next made everyone rethink respect and culture. Let's start from this moment. Trafalgar Square, the heart of London. Hundreds of tourists surrounded the post of the royal guard. Some were admiringly snapping photos, others were observing the majestic beauty of the horses, and of course, some were looking for a way to have a little fun. Amidst the bustling activity, one figure stood out. Royal Guardsman Michael Henshaw, a 35-year-old veteran. Standing as still as a statue, he seemed like history personified. His red tunic fit perfectly, the towering bearskin hat loomed above the crowd, and his gaze was fixed into the distance. His expression radiated calm, but it wasn't indifference, it was dignity. Amid the noise, whispers, and clicking of cameras, a loud crunch could be heard. The sound of someone eating chips. Yes, it was him. The tourist who believed that all of London existed solely for his amusement. Eric Peters, a hefty American in a faded t-shirt with the provocative slogan, "Keep calm and feed me." The shirt clung to his large belly, as if it were struggling to survive. His denim shorts hung loosely on him, as though he had mistakenly picked them from the children's section. The outfit was completed by sandals worn on bare feet, epitomizing tourist chic. "Hey, soldier boy!" Eric called out, waving a bag of chips in one hand and gesturing toward Michael with the other. "Why so serious? Give us a smile." If you just rolled your eyes reading this, know you're not alone. This was the epitome of the "I paid so I own the place" mentality. As expected, Michael didn't even blink. His stillness seemed to irk Eric, and the lack of reaction only fueled his enthusiasm. "What are you, a mannequin?" Eric continued, stuffing another chip into his mouth with exaggerated gusto. "I'm a tourist. I'm paying money here. Entertain me." The crowd began murmuring. Some smirked, while others shook their heads in disapproval. Eric, however, seemed oblivious. His companion giggled as she continued recording the scene on her phone. "Well, buddy," Eric said, pulling a coin from his pocket. "Here's a little tip for you." And with that, he tossed the coin. It struck Michael's polished boot with a sharp clink. The sound rang out, instantly grabbing the attention of the surrounding crowd. There was a collective gasp. Some laughed nervously, while others voiced their disapproval loudly. "What disrespect!" an elderly man with a cane muttered. But Eric wasn't fazed. In fact, he seemed to revel in the attention. "Well, no thank you. Great service, sir," he quipped with a sarcastic grin. His companion giggled louder, and Eric, basking in the limelight, continued his performance. Michael, as protocol dictated, remained completely still. Perhaps he felt irritation, or even disdain, but his face was unflinching, like a mask. All he did was continue to stand his post with unwavering dignity, despite the absurdity of the situation. Eric, waving the chip bag theatrically, looked like a man who believed the world was his stage. The crowd kept watching. Some filmed on their phones while others whispered among themselves. "Seriously, does he think this is okay?" a young woman muttered. "This is beyond the pale," added an older British woman, holding a Union Jack tote bag. But Eric paid no attention. In his mind, being there and paying for the experience meant the guard owed him something. To him, Michael wasn't a symbol of tradition or respect. He was just part of the decor, no different from statues or buildings. Eric Peters was at the height of his self-perceived glory. The coin striking the boot and the guard's stoic silence had only fed his inflated sense of importance. He glanced at his companion, who continued filming, eager to capture every second of his epic show. The crowd had closed in slightly, the tension rising. Some waited to see what would happen next, while others openly expressed their disapproval. "All right, folks," Eric announced loudly, trying to command the growing audience. "Let's find out if he's real or just a mannequin." His loud, slightly smug voice cut through the crowd's uneasy silence. Taking a bold step forward, he approached the white line, a symbolic boundary of respect and decorum, treating it as though it were nothing more than a decoration. "Keep rolling, babe! This is gonna be epic!" he added, lazily chomping on another chip. His companion giggled obnoxiously, clearly convinced her star was destined for internet fame. The crowd raised their phones, some recording, others commenting on the scene. "This is crossing the line," grumbled an elderly British man with a cane. His words were met with nods of agreement from others nearby. "Show some respect for tradition," added a woman in a tailored suit. She seemed like a local, likely bringing her children to witness British culture, but instead faced this ridiculous spectacle. Eric, of course, ignored them all. His focus remained entirely on playing the hero of his own drama. Reaching out his hand, he leaned toward Michael's bearskin hat. "Come on, buddy, give me a blink or something," Eric taunted with a smirk. If you sensed that Michael's patience was nearing its limit, you'd be absolutely right. Slowly, with deliberate dignity, Michael took a single, measured step forward. The crowd fell silent. That single step landed like a thunderclap, a simple action imbued with authority and power. "Sir, step back behind the line," Michael commanded in a deep, firm voice that echoed across the square. Eric froze. For a moment, his confidence faltered. He clearly hadn't expected the guardsman to break his silence. His hand, which had been reaching forward, hesitated mid-air. "Oh, wow, he talks!" Eric exclaimed, attempting to mask his unease with humor. But his voice lacked its earlier bravado. Michael stood firm, his gaze locked, his posture unyielding. The air around him seemed charged with discipline and command. Feeling the control of the situation slipping away, Eric tried to regain the crowd's attention. He pulled out another coin and deliberately tossed it at Michael's tunic. The coin struck with a sharp clang, eliciting gasps of outrage from the crowd. "That's enough! Show some respect for his work!" someone shouted. "This is disgusting," added a woman holding a child's hand. "Well, soldier boy, what are you gonna do now? Cry to your queen?" Eric sneered, though his voice wavered, betraying his growing discomfort. The mood of the crowd was shifting rapidly. Moments ago, some had watched in amusement, but now most were openly condemning Eric's behavior. Michael, however, remained immobile, a pillar of steadfast resolve. The tension in the air was palpable, like a string stretched to its breaking point. Michael took a sharp, decisive step forward, stopping just short of Eric. His face remained impassive, but his eyes sparkled with steely resolve. "Step back behind the line. This is your final warning." His voice rang out, sharp and commanding, like a bolt of lightning. Eric jerked his hand back. For a brief moment, something resembling fear flickered in his eyes, but he quickly recovered and scoffed. "Oh, wow, he's serious. But you know, buddy, you're here to entertain us. We're tourists. We pay your salary, so do your job." Eric clearly didn't realize that his antics were no longer amusing. Even those who initially watched for entertainment were starting to grow irritated. "Just kick him out already," a young man with a camera said loudly. "What a disgrace," someone else muttered from the crowd. And then something happened that Eric had clearly not anticipated. Two security guards, stocky men in crisp suits, approached him. Their movements were swift but deliberate, like predators closing in on their prey. "Sir, you are violating royal protocol. You are required to leave the premises," one of them said in a low, firm voice. Eric spun around, stunned by the sudden turn of events. "What? Oh, come on! I'm just having fun! It was just a joke!" he protested, trying to salvage his charisma. The guards, however, were unfazed by his excuses. "This is not up for discussion, sir. Please come with us," the second guard stated firmly. The crowd erupted in applause. Some even whistled in approval. "That's right! Show some respect for other people's traditions," someone shouted from the sidelines. Eric was escorted off the square. His face flushed, whether from anger or embarrassment, it was hard to tell. His companion was still recording, but her laughter had turned into an awkward smile. As the commotion died down, Michael returned to his post. His stance was as impeccable as ever, his expression as focused as it had been from the beginning. It was as though nothing could shake his composure. A little girl, with a small bouquet of wildflowers, stepped forward and laid them gently at the guardsman's feet. "Thank you for your service," she whispered softly. Michael didn't reply, but his slight nod spoke volumes more than words ever could.